Have you ever opened your heart to someone, only to later realize that their warmth was nothing more than a carefully crafted illusion? Trust is one of the most valuable things we can offer. Yet, in a world where appearances often take precedence over authenticity, not everyone reciprocates with the same sincerity. Maybe you've had moments where someone's words seemed comforting, but deep down, you felt something was off. Perhaps their actions didn't quite match their promises, or their enthusiasm felt just a little too rehearsed. The reality is, not everyone around you has your best interests at heart. Some people wear masks so convincingly that it takes time before their true nature surfaces. And by the time we notice, the damage, whether emotional, mental, or even social, may already be done. When deceit disguises itself as kindness, how do we protect ourselves from false relationships without becoming overly skeptical of everyone? In today's video, we'll uncover 7 undeniable signs that someone is not being real with you. Learning to identify these behaviors will not only help you navigate social interactions with clarity, but also strengthen your ability to maintain peace of mind and emotional resilience. But before we begin, here's a challenge for you. Try to recall how many times you've encountered these signs in your own life. You might be surprised at how often they appear. Now, let's dive in. Number 1. They only focus on themselves. Have you ever been in a conversation where you barely get a word in while the other person dominates, making every interaction about themselves? When dealing with insincere people, you'll quickly notice that they see you as an audience, not as an equal participant. Every discussion becomes a platform for their accomplishments, their struggles, and their opinions, leaving you feeling unheard. This behavior isn't just inconsiderate. It reveals a lack of genuine interest in others. Take, for example, a colleague who constantly boasts about their latest achievements and luxurious vacations but tunes out the moment you speak about your own experiences. The connection feels hollow because, in their mind, your stories don't hold value. I once had a friend like this. Every conversation revolved around them, their past, their problems. Never once did they ask how I was doing. At first, I tried to be understanding, assuming they just needed someone to listen. But over time, I realized my words never truly mattered to them. That's when I understood. The friendship was one-sided, and they weren't interested in real connection. Self-centered individuals crave validation, using conversations to fuel their ego rather than foster mutual support. If you open up about your struggles, they quickly shift the focus back to themselves, leaving you feeling unheard. True friends don't dismiss your thoughts or downplay your emotions. They take the time to listen, even if they don't have advice to give. Have you ever shared a deeply personal story, only to be met with indifference or brushed aside as if it were insignificant? A real friend would never make you feel like an afterthought. They would acknowledge your feelings, even if they couldn't fully relate. When you encounter someone who only talks about themselves, remind yourself that their behavior is a reflection of them, not you. There's no need to respond with frustration or resentment. Simply create distance. Protect your energy and surround yourself with people who value real connection. Keeping your space isn't about holding grudges. It's about choosing relationships that bring genuine meaning to your life. 2. They always want something from you. Have you ever had a friend who seemed genuinely interested in your life, only to later realize their concern was driven by self-interest? At first, they check in, ask about your work, and offer support. But over time, you notice a pattern. Their kindness is transactional. They're not listening to understand. They're gathering information to see what they can gain. Some people aren't in your life because they care about you, but because they see an opportunity. Have you ever had a friend who constantly asked about your job, finances, or personal life, yet vanished when you needed help? They weren't trying to connect. They were assessing what you could offer. A friend of mine, David, learned this the hard way. He shared everything with John, believing he'd found a true friend. John often called, eager to discuss David's projects. But when David faced financial trouble and needed help, John suddenly became distant. That's when David realized their friendship had always been one-sided. John was present when things were good, but disappeared when he was needed. This isn't uncommon. Some people only stick around for easy times, but avoid you when you struggle. They don't celebrate your successes for your sake, but for what they might gain. When you're in pain, they offer no support because your hardship holds no benefit for them. Stoicism teaches us not to let such relationships affect our inner peace. We can't control others' motives, but we can control our response. When you recognize that someone only takes and never gives, don't let it shake your confidence. Set boundaries. Imagine having a friend who constantly seeks advice, yet has no time when you need support. It feels like a connection, but in reality, it's just a one-way street. That's what David realized when John avoided him during his toughest times. True friends support each other, not just when it's convenient. Marcus Aurelius reminded us to observe people's motives without resentment. When you see that someone only values you for what they can take, step back. You don't need to cut them off entirely, but you should recognize when a relationship is no longer serving you. Surround yourself with people who appreciate you for who you are, not just for what you provide. A real friendship is built on mutual respect and support. If someone only appears when they need something, but disappears when you do, they aren't a true friend. The moment you recognize this, you regain control over your relationships and your peace of mind. 3. They always compete with you, not celebrate you. Some people just can't stand seeing others win. Instead of sharing in your excitement, they feel compelled to outdo you. The moment you share good news, they don't celebrate. You trigger their competitive instinct. That's nice, but I actually did this. Suddenly, your achievement is no longer the focus. It's just a setup for their own story. This isn't support, it's insecurity. Genuine friends uplift you, not measure themselves against you. They don't treat your victories as threats to their own worth. If someone consistently shifts conversations back to themselves, minimizing your success, they're revealing their true nature. The signs can be subtle. A forced smile, a compliment that feels hollow, a half-hearted nod before they change the subject. Their words may say one thing, but their energy tells another story. Real friends don't just tolerate your success. They embrace it wholeheartedly, feeling proud rather than envious. Life is challenging enough without having people around who see your accomplishments as personal defeats. If their support always comes with an asterisk, if they can't celebrate without adding their own comparison, you have to ask yourself, are they truly happy for you, or are they just trying to keep up? People like this often disguise their envy with humor or sarcasm, downplaying your achievements while subtly highlighting their own. But real friendships aren't built on rivalry. A true friend sees your success as something to celebrate, not as a reminder of their own insecurities. The reality is simple. Authentic friends don't flinch when you succeed. They don't feel the need to redirect attention, outshine you, or make it about them. They recognize that happiness isn't a competition, and that someone else's win doesn't equal their loss. If someone always finds a way to make sure you don't get too far ahead, their pride is dictating their actions. But that's not your burden to bear. You need people who celebrate your victories as if they were their own, who genuinely want to see you thrive. If they can't do that, then you already know the truth. They were never truly on your side. 4. They forget what you talk about. Have you ever opened up about something deeply important to you, only to realize later that the person you confided in didn't remember a single detail? Maybe you mention it again, expecting them to follow up, but all you get is a blank stare. It's not that they forgot, it's that they never truly listened in the first place. We all want the people in our lives to not just hear us, but to care enough to remember. When someone values us, they naturally hold on to our words, our struggles, and our dreams. I once believed I had a strong friendship with someone, and one day, I excitedly shared my plans to start a new course, something I had spent months preparing for. I spoke passionately about my goals and what I hoped to gain from it, believing this conversation would bring us closer. But the next time we met, they didn't ask a single thing about it. No curiosity, no acknowledgement, just a complete absence of memory, as if I had never spoken about it at all. That was the moment I realized that I wasn't as important to them as I had thought. If they had truly cared, wouldn't they have at least asked, "How's the course going?" It was then that I understood something simple yet profound. Real listening isn't an obligation. It's a reflection of genuine care. Remembering the little things doesn't take effort when someone truly values you. I started paying closer attention to my relationships. I thought of another friend, someone who remembered even the smallest details, like the new coffee shop I had mentioned wanting to visit, or the weekend trip I had planned. These might seem trivial, but they meant something to me. And by remembering, my friend showed that she didn't just hear my words, she listened with sincerity. Stoicism teaches us that real relationships are built on mutual presence, not convenience. That experience forced me to ask myself, is it worth keeping connections where I'm not truly valued? The answer became clearer when I realized that letting go of shallow relationships isn't about being distant or indifferent. It's about making room for those who genuinely care. Since then, I've learned to appreciate those rare friends who truly listen, who ask about the things that matter to me, who follow up on the details, not because they have to, but because they care. These friends are few, but they are the ones worth keeping. Life becomes more fulfilling when we surround ourselves with people who see us, hear us, and value us. Not just when it's convenient, but in every moment that truly matters. 5. They can't keep their word. One of the clearest signs of insincerity is inconsistency. If someone's promises rarely match their actions, take that as a serious warning. A person's word is their foundation. It reflects their integrity, their character, and their respect for others. If they constantly break commitments, dodge accountability, or conveniently forget what they said, it's not a mistake. It's a habit. And that habit tells you exactly where you stand in their life. Think about it. How many times have you trusted someone only to watch their promises dissolve into nothing? Their excuses come out like clockwork. I got caught up. Something came up. Or the ever-reliable, I totally forgot. At some point, these aren't just slip-ups. They're patterns. And patterns reveal the truth. Keeping your word isn't just about reliability. It's about respect. When someone tells you they'll do something, they're making a commitment, even in the smallest ways. Following through shows that they value you, that your time matters. But when someone repeatedly lets you down, they're telling you, whether they admit it or not, that their comfort, their convenience, and their priorities will always come first. Of course, everyone makes mistakes. Life gets messy, plans change. But when broken promises become the rule rather than the exception, trust starts to erode. The more it happens, the more you realize their words hold no weight. It begins to feel like you're part of a game where the rules keep shifting, and somehow, you're always the one left disappointed. Being on the receiving end of this can be frustrating, even painful. It leaves you questioning your worth, wondering if you're expecting too much. But the truth is, expecting someone to stand by their word isn't asking for too much. It's asking for the bare minimum. People who genuinely care about you don't make you guess whether they'll follow through. They don't make promises just to sound good in the moment. They speak with intention, and their actions align with their words. These are the people who bring stability into your life, not uncertainty. So if someone keeps proving that their word means nothing, believe them the first time. Don't waste energy making excuses for someone who has already shown you that you're not a priority. Your time is valuable. Your energy is valuable. And the people you keep in your life should reflect that. At the end of the day, words are easy, but integrity is rare. The people who truly matter are the ones who show up time and time again, without needing to be reminded or convinced. And those are the relationships worth holding on to. 6. They only tell you what you want to hear. Some people will say whatever you want to hear, not because they care, but because they want to keep things smooth. They avoid conflict, never challenge your opinions, and always make sure you feel comfortable. But real growth doesn't come from comfort. It comes from honesty, from being pushed beyond what's easy. If someone always agrees with you, never questions your choices, and only mirrors back what you already believe, they aren't being authentic. They're putting on an act, shaping their words to fit the moment rather than speaking from the heart. And while that might feel good in the short term, deep down, those words lack meaning. Because true friendship isn't about blind agreement. It's about truth, even when it stings. A real friend will tell you what you need to hear, not just what's pleasant. They'll challenge you when necessary, not to bring you down, but to help you grow. They won't be afraid to push you in the right direction, even if it's uncomfortable. Those moments, when someone calls you out, makes you pause, forces you to reflect, are the ones that shape you into a better version of yourself. It's easy to surround yourself with people who applaud everything you do, who nod along and never question you. But true value lies in those who care enough to be honest. When someone stands in front of you and says, "I respect you enough to be real with you," that's when you know they're genuine. Fake people don't want you to grow. They want you to stay where you are. Why? Because as long as you're comfortable, you won't look too closely at who they really are. They use flattery as a shield, keeping you from seeing their true nature. As long as you feel validated, you won't question their motives. And when the time comes, when you need real advice, a tough truth, or an honest perspective, they won't be there. The moment honesty becomes inconvenient for them, the moment telling you the truth risks losing your approval, they're gone. That's not loyalty. It's self-preservation at your expense. Think about the people in your life who challenge you, the ones who, when you're drifting off course, don't just stand by and watch, but step in and tell you the hard truth. That's who truly cares. That's the kind of person you can trust. Be wary of those who never disagree, never challenge, never push back. They're more interested in keeping things easy than in being real. And easy isn't always what's best for you. Real relationships can handle discomfort because they are built on authenticity, not convenience. The people who truly value you aren't afraid of a little tension if it means helping you become better. That's what separates the real from the fake. It's tempting to surround yourself with those who keep everything light, who avoid conflict, who never disrupt your comfort. But that's a trap. It's where growth stops, where truth is buried under layers of false reassurance. The ones who tell you what you need to hear, even when it's difficult, are the ones who see your potential, even when you don't. Fake people don't want you to change. They prefer you exactly as you are, because that's where they have control. But the moment you start growing, the moment you rise beyond the role they've assigned you, their true nature is revealed. And that's when you know who really belongs in your life. 7. They talk behind your back. There's a particular kind of disappointment that comes with realizing someone you trusted has been speaking about you behind your back. Maybe you overhear a passing comment, a mutual friend hints at something, or you simply notice a shift in how people treat you. Even without direct proof, your instincts often pick up on the truth. Betrayal has a way of revealing itself in small, subtle ways. The natural reaction is hurt, maybe even anger. You might feel the urge to defend yourself, to confront the person responsible, or to correct whatever falsehoods they've spread. But before reacting, consider this. Why give power to those who have already shown their lack of integrity? If their loyalty was conditional, if their respect was only surface deep, then their words were never worth much to begin with. True strength lies not in chasing explanations, but in knowing when to walk away. A person who speaks negatively about you in secret lacks the courage to face you with honesty. And if they were willing to betray you in whispers, they were never truly in your corner. This is where self-reliance becomes essential. The Stoic mindset teaches us that the opinions of others are beyond our control, and wasting energy on seeking fairness in an unfair situation only drains us. A genuine friend won't disappear when times get tough, and a person of character won't need to play both sides. Instead of holding on to resentment, shift your focus to what matters: your own integrity, your personal growth, and the relationships that are built on honesty, not convenience. The moment you stop depending on the approval of the insincere, you take back your power. Let their actions speak for themselves, and let your response be silence, strength, and success. Because those who truly stand by you don't need to be tested. They prove themselves through their consistency. And the ones who fail that test? They were never meant to stay in your life anyway. Final thoughts. Recognizing insincerity isn't about becoming skeptical of everyone. It's about learning where to invest your time and trust. Not all connections are meant to last, and that's a good thing. Growth comes from choosing relationships that bring value, not from clinging to those that drain you. Rather than letting past disappointments harden you, let them sharpen your awareness. Emotional resilience means standing firm in your self-worth, unaffected by those who lack sincerity. The more secure you are within yourself, the less impact others' actions have on your peace. True fulfillment comes from surrounding yourself with people who uplift and respect you. Protect your energy, value your boundaries, and prioritize those who genuinely care. Thank you, and see you in the next session.